I saw a woman hold her toddler son out of her car window doing about 35 miles per hour while he peed. My life's never been the same. What is the trashiest thing you've ever witnessed? Welcome back, Pretendo. It's me, Andrew, here to narrate another awesome storytime for you. Since you're already here, why don't you like the video, subscribe, and ring that MF notification bell? I will reveal the amount of money you simped on e-girls if you don't. Alright, let's get into the video. An incredibly obese woman trying to shop in Walmart but was stopped at the door because her children were naked. A girl in her 20s letting guys finger her for a few seconds if they bought her a drink. Finished work and was coming out of the staff entrance, which happens to be a fairly sketchy laneway on the north side of Dublin city centre. Saw a junkie couple doing the nasty, which wouldn't be that bad if it wasn't that the only thing that was concealing them was their 2 or 3 years old kid sitting in a pram facing the other way. It kind of just made me feel sad thinking of the life that child is going to have, but yeah, it was also trashy to duck. I watched the following situation unfold. A woman was about to be arrested for public drunkenness. The cops were evidently feeling merciful and decided to put her into a cab instead. I guess this offended the woman. In response to being directed toward a cab, she lifted up her skirt, angled her urethra, and started to gush pee directly onto the cop's shoes. What appeared to be a mother in her mid-40s and her 2 daughters, who were in their late teens early 20s, giving a group of guys blowjobs at Mardi Gras. The girls, were all kneeling in the middle of the circle of 6 to 8 guys, tops off, and were just going back and forth among the guys, sucking them off while the guys were shooting pics and video with their cell phones. I guess those guys had some really cool beads. This happened at a friend of a friend's 17th birthday party. Birthday girl's boyfriend brings his cousin to the party. Everyone gets drunk as you do. Boyfriend disappears and the search is on. Birthday girl eventually finds him ducking his cousin in the bathroom. My favorite quote from the ensuing argument was, "Your breath smells like your cousin's pussy." Didn't seem to matter much, they're married now with 2 kids. I guess drunken incest can't stand in the way of true love. In Afghanistan we made a supply run to Kandahar airfield. We had some spare time before we left to go back to our cop, so we went to the Burger King there. Yes, the Air Force had a Burger King in Afghanistan. On the way there we walked past a row of porta potties and a strong gust of wind blew open the doors, and inside one of the porta potties was an Air Force chick riding some guy's dick like it was the last plane home. In a porta potty in the 120 degrees Afghan summer. How they could duck in that stench is beyond me, but bravo. When I was preteen I ate some bad food at a restaurant. We went to Target after and my stomach literally instantly turned sour as we entered. I went to the bathroom and I'd crap, 5 minutes later I'd need to crap again. So I just decided I'd stay in there till I was sure it was empty. This went on to the point that I told my parents to go to the other stores they wanted to hit and just hit me up after. About 10 minutes into the ordeal I hear people come in. I'm thinking great, no way they won't hear and smell this. They'll probably turn right around. Then I see 3 pairs of feet in the stall beside me. 1 female and 2 male. These trashy people had a full-on threesome in the Target bathroom while I'm shooting out sloppy wet turds that smell like death incarnate 3 feet away with just a stall wall in between us. I only ever saw their feet, but I'm counting it as something I experienced. It's late at my local towny dive bar's karaoke night when the bar's owner and namesake shows up. She's a tiny 75-year-old woman in a pink cardigan with a great big loud voice, with her 2 early 20s granddaughters in tow, heavily drunk and dressed for the club. Up she rolls to a quiet guy who's been hanging by the entrance smoking a cigarette. They exchange some words and walk around to the alleyway beside the bar. One of the granddaughters hikes up the skirt of her dress, squats down on her heels, and proceeds to piss all over the sidewalk, while the other granddaughter runs around the corner screaming, "Don't sell coke to my grandma, goddammit." From down the alley echoes grandma's voice, "Shut the duck up, bitch, it's my birthday, and I'll do what I want." When I had enough of this scene and went inside, the bartender was trashed off her ass and pouring everyone free doubles. I, stupidly, bought my girlfriend At the time, Britney Spears' tickets in Newark with Pussycat Dolls as the opening act. This was maybe 10 years ago. Anyway, she was an awful driver and didn't have a lot of friends, so she ended up asking me to go with her so I could drive and she'd have someone. Agreed, got there, everything was fine. Luckily brought earplugs and they were selling beer at a couple stands. Cue bathroom break, mind you I'm one of maybe 10 guys in the building, so conveniently there's no line outside the bathroom. When I walk in, I witness lines of young girls in every direction, pants on the floor using urinals, peeing in the sinks, just ducking everywhere. They all looked up at me, smirked, and went back to their business. Noped out and asked a staff member if I could use a back bathroom or something, which they obliged. I now have the memory of simultaneously watching dozens of underage girls without pants on urinating in the men's room at a Britney Spears concert for life. Edit, I'm on a list now. Thanks Reddit. When I was 9yo, I had a good friend that had a very trashy family. My parents would never let me stay overnight at her house. For some reason this one time my mom said I could. Her mistake. My friend fell asleep while we were watching a movie in the living room that evening with her 15-year-old brother, who was already missing one front tooth. After a while he whispers, "Hey look." I turn to look at him and witness my first hard dick. He's got his pants pulled down just enough to show it, meanwhile grinning at me. Then starts begging me to suck it until I tell him I'm going to wake up his sister and tell her if he doesn't stop. He quit. When the movie was over, I woke her up and said we should go to bed. So the two of us got upstairs to her bedroom and go to bed. Lucky for me her brother's room is downstairs. Now, her parents had newspaper laid out on the floor in the corner of her room and a coffee can sitting in the middle of it. I didn't ask her why. I wake up in the middle of the night and need to pee. I make my way down the stairs heading to the bathroom. Halfway down I see her mom laying on the couch with her nightgown pulled up and her dad standing in front of her with his pants down. The mom looks at me, whispers something, and the dad turns and sees me, bam, seeing my second hard dick in my life, in one night. He yanks his pants up and runs to me yelling, "Get your ass back upstairs." I told him I needed to use the bathroom. He yells, "That's what the coffee can in the bedroom is for." I ran to the bathroom, shut the door, turn on the light, watch the cockroaches scatter, and pee real quick. I run back up to the bedroom and lay awake all night. In the morning I go to the kitchen and use the phone to call my mom to come get me ASAP while watching my friend's mom with a gallon jug of milk, half full, adding water to it until the jug is full. So yeah. That was the trashiest thing I've ever witnessed. I might have shared this in an old account, if this seems familiar. When I was 16 my mother joined a group for single professional moms. She met with the organizers and they invited her to an event they had scheduled for the next evening. The event was a screening of First Wives Club at a historic theater and they had gotten a bunch of local firefighters to volunteer to be ushers. They were to greet each member with a rose and a glass of champagne and then escort her to her seat. But you asked for trashy, not classy, right? Stay with me here. My mother did not drive, so I dropped her off and promised to pick her up in 2 hours. 40 minutes later I was back at the theater, my little brother in tow, looking at a large crowd of police and curious onlookers. My mom had called to tell me there had been an incident and could I please come get her. This was before cell phones, so we marched up to an amused-looking officer who escorted us into the theater. Inside we were greeted by the sight of a dozen or so well-dressed, scuffed up, and very blotto middle-aged women in cuffs, and many very pissed-off, rumpled firefighters. Apparently, quite a few of the club members had overindulged in the free champagne and asked the firefighters to demonstrate how quickly they could suit up. The firefighters obliged them by stripping off their gear. This was not enough for the women. They wanted it all off. While Diane Keaton shrieked at her cheating husband, these inebriated single moms decided to help the firefighters with the rest of their clothes. No was not an option, and they were quite forceful. That's about when the cops were called. According to my officer escort, when they arrived the lobby was a scene of utter chaos. High heels had been kicked off, hair had been mussed, alarmed firemen scratched up and clothing torn. These men had been trained to enter burning buildings. They had not been prepared for something like this. These were dumpster fires of a different sort. My officer friend pulled my mom out of a site office where she had been hiding with a couple of other women, and we were sent on our way. For years after, anytime my mom got on me about something, I'd bring up the time I had to bring my 7-year-old brother to rescue her from a drunken attempted fireman rape orgy. Thanks for watching. What did you think of the story time? Let me know in the comments below. If you liked the video, smash that like button and subscribe so you don't miss any more story times.